came to me, and he said to me, dear brother, I love you, can't you see? My love for you is stronger than all the ocean tides. When he'd said these words to me, I sat down and I cried. Now I'm talking about Jesus, talking about Jesus, talking about Jesus, Christ the Lord, Lord, Lord. Oh, I'm talking about Jesus, talking about Jesus, talking about Jesus Christ the Lord. That day he changed my life for good. I began to see the price he paid to save us all. On top of Calvary, his love for us became complete on that fateful day. And now I live inside his heart because he is the way. And I'm talking about Jesus, talking about Jesus, talking about Jesus, Christ the Lord, Lord, Lord. Oh, I'm talking about Jesus, talking about Jesus, talking about Jesus Christ the Lord. And I'm talking about Jesus, talking about Jesus, talking about Jesus, Christ the Lord, Lord, Lord. Oh, I'm talking about Jesus, talking about Jesus, talking about Jesus Christ the Lord. So let me hear you speaking, Lord, in accents clear and still, above our storms of passions and murmurs of our self-will. Oh, speak to reassure me, Lord, to hasten or control me. Speak and make me listen, 'cause you're the guardian of our souls. And I'm talking about Jesus, talking about Jesus, talking about Jesus, Christ the Lord, Lord, Lord. Oh, I'm talking about Jesus, talking about Jesus, talking about Jesus Christ the Lord. I'm loving Jesus Christ the Lord. I'm needing Jesus Christ the Lord. Thank you, Jesus. Good morning, and welcome to More Moments with Jesus. My name is Mike, and I try to put this public broadcast show on every Sunday. Sometimes I have to repeat the same show because I don't get organized enough to get it done during the week, but hopefully this week I'll be able to get it done. I got to turn it in tomorrow, so I have to get everything done today. And it goes on channel 95 on Comcast at 11:30 in the morning a.m. And basically I sit here and spend an hour with Jesus, which I'm going to spend the hour with Jesus anyway, because he's going to be here no matter what I was doing, whether I was doing the public broadcast show, sleeping, working on some music, reading a book. Right now I'm crocheting another scarf, which I do these throughout the day from time to time, and then I save them, and this fall and winter I'll be able to get them passed out through friends and myself to people that might be cold in the world, and provide a little need for them. Let me see. Really don't have to, I do all this ad lib, so I don't have a script, and I think God's already written the script for us, which I do believe. So today at this moment is what a friend of mine and I call all part of the plan. And it's God's plan. His name is Yahweh. And of course in the Bible they didn't print his name as Yahweh. They just printed it as God, because it was God is a pagan term, which is pretty much accepted more than the actual word Yahweh. In the New Testament, of course, Jesus was used. When the angel appeared to Mary and asked her if she would agree to have the Son of God, or Yahweh, she agreed, and he said, your name will be called Jesus. And just like John the Baptist was called John because Zechariah, the father, who was way up in age and had been, his speech had been taken away by Yahweh, and was given back to him on the day that John was born, so that he could name him. And he wanted him named John. And that's who he was called, John. And he became John the Baptist, who went out into the desert, made the way for the Lord, who was Jesus, who came later through Mary. And these are all in the Bible. And I hope you read your Bible today, or something, or maybe take some, well, if you're taking time to listen to this, you're taking some time out for Jesus. And he appreciates it. And it's very important, because if you think about it, see, your day has already been planned by the Lord. In other words, tomorrow's, your life tomorrow, your day tomorrow, has already been made in heaven a long time ago. So God knows what's going to happen. For us to say, well, tomorrow I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do this, is really a waste of our time. Everybody does it. I do it myself a lot of times. But really, the most important thing to do is sit with the Lord and let his Spirit commune with us and teach us what he wants us to know and help lead us. 17 years ago in my life, as I've said on other shows, and I'll continue to say it. I was blessed greatly by meeting the Spirit of the Lord and having the Spirit of the Lord himself tell me that he was real and that I was asked to follow him, which I've been trying to do for 17 years. I heard his voice, so I know he can speak to us. He can speak to you, me. Also, he speaks to his creation, the animals. Two animals, or creations, or creatures, whatever you want to call them. The ants for me, and the hawks. Or it could be, another type of bird or something that at a moment in time, my spirit lets me know that what just happened or what I'm doing or what I'm to do is what I was supposed to be doing, which is a blessing because then it makes you feel that God is with you. Now, in the trail of 17 years ago, I definitely knew God was with me. And when you're in the presence of the Lord, it's all peace. Peace, love, and joy. There is nothing else. That's what heaven will be. And if you try to make your heaven here, on this earth in the flesh, you're making a bad mistake. That's not going to occur. This flesh and this world will pass away. Some don't believe that, probably. Well, they must believe that we're all going to pass away because as we sit, our parents, friends, our loved ones, we will watch. Unless we pass away before them, we will end up watching them pass away also. Everybody dies. Even Jesus died. But Jesus came back. And he was the only one that rose from the dead. Okay? Now you could say, well, there's certain people, I know they've got a motion picture out of a little boy that died and went to heaven and came back. All kinds of people, I myself, I've died. And I can tell you from my testimony, there is, people call it the veil. It's because we only see on this side. But when you physically die and leave your body, you can see on the other side. And what you see is exactly what you see here. At least that happened to me. And in my case, that happened because I had a heart attack, and the Lord made sure I was in a hospital and that there was a doctor there, and they brought me back to life, to this side, because actually I was with life. But anyway, he brought me back on this side because my wife and I had prayed to quit smoking, and the Lord knew that that was the way it had to be done, that he would scare my wife and myself enough to quit smoking. And he did. And we quit, no patches, no prep, no nothing. Cold turkey. Just quit. 17 years, well, actually it was 2003, so 15 years ago. Well, it's 14 years ago, whatever. And we haven't touched one yet. Now, I don't think I don't, just because I know it was a blessing from God. And my wife, she thinks that's a stretch. But really, there are no coincidences, no chance meetings. Everyone you meet today, you were meant to meet, and for a specific purpose. Might be something to teach you something, or to increase your spirituality, or to put you in a position to help somebody, or whatever the reason. God knows what the reason was, because He created it. And if you're one of the ones, and there are many, and I used to be one for a long time, oh, well, that was just luck, or that was just a coincidence. Totally wrong. Now, I can say that, and I know that's the truth. If you have not experienced the Lord's Spirit, and He has not opened your eyes and ears, then you would not understand, nor could you understand what I'm saying. Not that, it's a bad thing. It's just, that's the way it is. People, can think I'm arrogant or ignorant, but I know that's the truth. And it's just like, there's a lot of things now. The Lord, back a couple of years ago, or maybe a year or so ago, opened my eyes to a lot of the messages that are in the Bible. And you can read, I've read the Bible. I've been to Bible studies. And each one, the person teaching, has a little different twist on things. But see, that's man's twist. And in the Bible, in many passages, in fact, I wear some clothes that I make up, and on the back it's Psalm 118, verse 8, I think, or 18, where it says, don't put your trust in man, only in God. Okay, so as we listen to our pastors and ministers, priests, whatever, and all the religious people that are talking about the Bible, even for myself, we are human, okay? The one you need to teach you is the Spirit, and it's the Spirit of the Lord, Yahweh, Spirit of God, and His Son. The name Yeshua comes in, or Jesus, as it's in the Bible in the New Testament as Jesus. That's who we really need to listen to. That's why I sit here during these shows, and I know the Lord's here. I know He loves me, because He told me 17 years ago He loved me. So, if the Lord loves me, why should I worry about anyone else? I don't need any other love, because there is no other love above Him. I mean, my wife loves me, I know. I've had other people in my life that also love me, and I have loved many. But the important one that we need to know loves us, and that we need to love, is Yahweh, our Father. At the beginning of the prayer that the apostles asked Him to teach us to pray, Lord, our Father. He included Himself in that. Okay? Who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. With some Bibles, it's holy be thy name, which is name set apart from all others. I wear shirts. I've had shirts made up, and I have the name of Jesus in the form of a cross on the front and back of my shirts. I have it on my pants. I have it on my shoes, and I wear that out in public. I can't find anyone else that wants to join me in that. But that's okay, because that's what I believe. I display His name everywhere I go. And no one else I've found yet, on a continual daily basis, believes that you have to do that. And really, you don't have to do it. He knows you love Him. He knows you, He knows you better than you know yourself, because He created you. And so he already knows what you're going to do today. He's going to make circumstances in your life. It's like this morning. I get up at, he wakes me up very early. I get up around 5:30, 6. Today I think it was 6:30, 6:20. And I had a text message from a person that I'll see once in a while down at McDonald's, where I go for a morning coffee and a muffin. Muffin I could probably skip. Coffee I do like. But even that probably is something I should probably skip. But anyway, they needed a ride to work this morning, so they asked me if I'd give them a ride. So I knew right away that was my first chore for the Lord. So I texted back, said sure. And I got a text back saying they had come in early, that they didn't need the ride now. Now, whether that be true or not, doesn't matter. I said I would, so I answered that situation. Then what happened? Then I went to McDonald's this morning, and I got to see quite a few things, actually. I mean, I just sit in a booth and I crochet. I have my coffee, I have my muffin, and there was a gentleman that had a drink and a backpack in the booth, and he was sitting at the counter. He was charging his cell phone, because they go in there to charge their cell phone. And I didn't know if he was waiting for somebody, or he seemed to be waiting for somebody, but I wasn't sure. And so another friend came in that I know, and I see him there also. And his name is Pat. And Pat is going up to Boston to one of the hospitals. He has cancer in his liver, but because he's an AB, said he's way up on the list. He can receive anybody's liver, which is a good thing for him, because it's an organ you can't live without. And so he's going through chemo and other problems right now. But his attitude is good, and I prayed, put him in Yahweh's control, and asked for Yahweh's will to be done in his life. Now, that's for Pat. Now, that's my job is done. I don't have to ask Yahweh 15 times or every day. He heard the prayer the first time. Now his will be done in Pat's case. Right. Now all of a sudden, I look up, still crocheting, and a girl coming up, she was coming from where the bathrooms were down there. She came up, and she came up to this gentleman that was sitting on the counters, and he had gotten his cell phone, and she gave him a little hug and said, "I like your plan." And he got his backpack and his drink, and they left. So, that was what happened then. Now, then another friend came in. His name is Jerry. Jerry sat down, and he was telling me about, he was talking to Pat and myself, and different conversation, just conversation about different things. He had helped somebody, and the person, he was going to pay him, and then the guy demanded X amount of money, and he was going on about that. He says, "You don't think that's right?" I said, "No." I said, The guy should have helped you for nothing, actually. But, you would have helped him. But as it was, you did everything for him, and then he wanted more money from you. So which he did pay him. Jerry's a, because Jesus in the Bible said, if somebody asks for something, you're actually supposed to give it to them. With no judgments, okay? And, some people would say, well, wait a minute now, then they would start making up exceptions to the rule. Well, I didn't say that. Jesus said it. Okay, so if you want to make an exception up and change what Jesus said, you should go all the way back to the garden, and Yahweh, or God the Father, told Adam, his creation, not to eat from the tree of good and evil. Then he made a companion for Adam, a woman, out of Adam, that Adam accepted. Adam told her not to eat from the tree. Okay? And she goes over and listens to the serpent, who was the devil, and he convinced her that God wouldn't care, that God didn't want her to eat from it because then she would be like him. And the woman liked the idea of being like God. And then she also added, she changed what Adam said. He said, don't eat from the tree. She said, don't eat from it or touch it. She added, or touch it. So, this is how, right back to the absolute beginning of the book that we're all supposed to know and follow. There's how the changes begin. So anyway, pretty soon, this girl and guy come back in, and I'm looking at her, and she looks like she's not quite there. In other words, she's kind of weaving and stumbling and having a hard time sitting on her eyes are all squinted. So pretty much, having been in the drug world many years ago, you could definitely tell that she was definitely high on something, either crack cocaine, heroin. I don't think it would have been pot, because you wouldn't have that kind of reaction. That kind of reaction she was having was definitely, I don't know, she was like, like way out there. So obviously, when she originally put her arm around this guy and said, I like your plan, his plan was to get her high. I don't know what transpired because they left, but when they came back, she was definitely high. He was not, and she was just slumped over when I left. I don't know if she had overdosed or was going to overdose. She was way out there. Felt sad for her, because here's this guy that, obviously had no feelings or caring for her, to having done this to her, now whatever she might have done to receive this drug, I don't know. I don't know where they went, but that could have been the case too. People who are addicted to heroin and crack and those kind of drugs will pretty much do anything to get either the drug, using either sex or money or something, because they need it. Physically, their body craves that. sad. I never got into those things, and I feel bad. You don't need something that you physically crave. Um, that's like an alcoholic, physically craves the alcohol. Got to have it, whether it be beer or whiskey or wine or whatever it is. So they'll do pretty much anything to get that, so they can. And you see them today. They stand on the corners. They say they're homeless. They don't have anything. People get money. Then they run out. Not all of them, but some of them go out, and that's what they're getting. They're getting that fix they need. And the people giving them money are supporting that, and they don't really know it because they're not with that person all the time. And so you really have to be, if you meet somebody with a sign, it'd be better to say, "Oh, you're hungry? I'll take you out. Let's go to a restaurant and I'll buy you a meal." And you might find some of them say, "Oh, no, I'm not hungry right now. I'll just take a donation." No. I wouldn't give them a donation. Okay? Because that's what the money's going to get used for something else besides that. They're not saving up the first and last month's rent, because that would be way too much money to save up. They won't get a menial job, paying less to save up the money so that they can get a place to stay. Most of them have given up in the world, and they choose to live like that. Actually have no responsibilities, but unless they know the Lord, life would have really no meaning for them. So they would have to, live in a state of somewhat despair. That's why you try to tell people, you got to turn to the Lord. The Bible tells us, knock and the door will be open. But you've got to knock with sincerity. And the Lord knows if you're sincere or you're not. You can't knock and say, "Well, I'd like you to help me with this situation, but you can't do it this way, and you can't do it that way, and you can't do it this way, but I want you to do it." That's not going to work either. You don't tell God how He's to solve your problem. He already knows He can solve your problem. He wants you to be humble enough to trust Him to solve your problem. This is what people don't do. And then they pray continuously. Now the Bible tells us to pray continuously. That means to me, that means to have the Lord on your mind all the time, throughout your day, everywhere you go. Yes, if you have to drive, you have to watch the stop signs and the stoplights and whatnot. But you can still be thinking, a lot of people today, what are they doing? They're listening either to the radio, they're watching a DVD in their car. People on the street are walking across, jaywalking right across the street, looking at their cell phone, reading a text, not even paying attention to who's, what street they're going across or whatever. It's amazing that more people haven't been killed, because the drivers have no idea that person's going to walk right down the street, not even looking, still looking at their cell phone. It's a good technology, has a lot of good uses, but the devil has turned it into a lot of bad uses, a lot of distractions, especially for families. And parents use it so they don't have to interact with their children. A lot of times that's what they do. They don't want to interact with their kids. That's a pain. They wanted to have them. They had a lot of fun having them. A lot of pleasure having them. But then, once they're there, now it becomes a responsibility. Okay? And you have to be able to take on that responsibility. And sometimes it's easier to just put a tablet or a cell phone or some kind of mind control device in their hands and say, oh, look at the pretty pictures. Oh, isn't this a cartoon? Or this Mario? We can play Mario for 4 or 5 hours. So your mother and I can do something else. Or we can just sit here and enjoy peace while you're over there letting this piece of device control your mind and teach you stuff that you shouldn't be learning. You know, and not all parents do this. Some monitor their children enough to control the use of these devices. So it's not everybody, but there's way too many doing that. I play music in a club. It's actually a little restaurant. People come in to eat dinner. I play in the corner. I collect contributions for them that I give away to the needy. And you see them come in. It's funny because even you'll see a couple, an adult couple with no children come in, maybe a boyfriend, girlfriend, or maybe a husband and wife, or just two friends. And they sit at the table, and pretty soon they sit down, they make their drink order and wait, get their food ordered. And then, not all the time, but more than not, out come the cell phones, and their attention is on the cell phone instead of that person they're with. Why go out to dinner? Why don't you just stay home, order a pizza, have it delivered, and stay on your cell phone? You wouldn't have to worry about having a conversation with anybody. It's, you know, and the other thing that is astounding, because it's if you start watching, you'll be amazed. The number of people that have tattoos on them. If you're out of Walmart or just Kmart or Dunkin' Donuts or just anywhere, any kind of function, political function, and now the weather, you know, people wearing short sleeves, so the lighter clothes where more of the skin is exposed. And you see, look at how many people you see that have tattoos on them. Some have just a little, some have almost their whole body painted with tattoos. Okay. Now, everyone, this is I guess a fad. And, you know, some of them are just like, you know, they tattooed some pretty flowers in the name of their children and, you know, their wedding dates, their husband, you know, things that they're proud of and whatnot. However, if you do read the Bible, which I hope everybody does, and I encourage you to, you don't have to, you know, you could just sit at home, have a Bible, open it up, and read some of it. The Spirit of the Lord can teach you, and will teach you, if you ask Him. But anyway, find your Bible. You should have one in the house. Most people do. And look up Leviticus. It's one of the books in the Old Testament. Now, some people say, oh, the Old Testament, don't read the Old Testament. No, you need to read the Old Testament and the New Testament. Okay, they connect. They were, however, there was a whole center section called the Apocrypha that was chopped out by people that are more evil and didn't want that connection between the old and the new. So they took it out. Said, no, that's not biblical. But again, that's man saying it's not biblical. I don't think God came down and said, that's not biblical. All right? Not that I know of anyway. But, so they have, but the Old Testament if you read Leviticus and you go to, I think it's, let me see, I'll tell you in just a second because I wrote it down. Go to Leviticus chapter 19, verse 28. That's Leviticus 19, chapter 19, verse 28. And read that verse. And in that verse, now this was written by Moses, okay, whom God talked to. Okay, Moses did hear also God's voice. And God told him to lead his children out of Egypt. And that's what Moses did. He followed God's orders. Okay? Now, so he was writing down the Spirit's inspiration, which would have been Yahweh through the Spirit, because the Spirit, the Son, and Yahweh are all one. He was telling them there was rules in those days, okay? And one of the rules is that you shall not put tattoos or marks on your body, all right? Now, in any Christian church you go to today, that's never taught. That's why there's so many tattoos out here, because people don't think it's wrong. Now, in the New Testament, Jesus said, I am the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. That means he went all the way back to the garden and all the way to the last day, which hasn't happened yet. It's going on, but only God knows what day that's, because that's the day Yahweh will say, this is it. No more time. Time will end. Okay. You should not put tattoos on your body. It's one of God's laws given through Moses. Yet, it is not being taught in any Christian church that I've ever been in. And I've been in Bible studies where they've read from Leviticus. But people just, read it and say, oh, well, that was then, and we don't have to follow those now. Things change. And it's okay for us to do that now. Who's changing the rules? Man. And the more that you see, you have a family and they have no tattoos, and all of a sudden one gets influenced by the wrong people outside the family, comes in with tattoos, now the other one's inside, oh, well, she can do it, why can't I do it? Now the parents got a problem. And most of them, they don't want to deal with that kind of problem. Now in the Old Testament days, when a child broke Jacob's 12 tribes, Israel's 12 tribes, when they got ousted. Esau was ousted. He went outside the tribe. So that they were very harsh, which actually should have continued right through to today. And then we would have had, each kind to its own kind, as God created it. Okay? But instead, he made an apple tree, and we decided that we could make all kinds of different apple trees. So that's what we do. Couldn't just leave it an apple tree. We have to change it. Again, this is man. This is not God. Now, he's going to come back. He's going to straighten everything out. Some aren't going to be real happy with their judgment. But the ones that will be okay are the 12 tribes of Israel, Jacob's people, even the ones that aren't living right. They will be forgiven. They will go to heaven. Okay? That was God's promise to Jacob, who he had named Israel. It's not the land over there where the Jewish people live. No. 12 tribes of Israel is people like us, white people. They were spread all over. That's why Jesus came. To help bring them back. So, there's so much more you can learn by just simply reading. And you don't have to have somebody teach you, okay? Now, you may have to have somebody teach you a computer, you may have to have somebody teach you guitar, you may have to have somebody, and even in some of those cases, you know, there's child prodigies that no one ever taught them. They just picked up the guitar and they played like Eric Clapton, okay? Or there's some kids that can open up a computer and they just start tearing it apart, making new programs, you know? No one taught them. It was God. He made them to be that way so that they would. So, if you've stayed with me for the whole hour, I'm going to play, the first song was, I'm going to put on, I think it was, I don't know if it was A Child at Home or the one about Jesus. Both of them inspired by the Spirit through me. And my friend in Providence, my brother Anthony, he recorded them and produced them, played a lot of the instrumentation. I played guitar and sang, and we produced these two songs. I'm going to put a couple of new ones up next week. I've got a couple more songs, and Anthony and I are starting to work on some other material also. So, so I hope you can join us again. Thank you for being here, and have a great day. Take some time. Spend it with Jesus, folks. I'm telling you. There'll be no waste. Even if you just sit there and never said a word. Just say, Lord, sit with me. He definitely will. Have a great day. Peace. Love you. Bye-bye. My shepherd will supply my need. The Lord God is his name. In pastures fresh, he makes me feed beside the living stream. He brings my wandering spirit back when I forsake his ways, and leads me for his mercy's sake in the paths of truth and grace. The sure provisions of my Lord attend me all my days. Oh, may your house be my abode, and all my work be praised. There would I find a settled rest, while others go and come. No more a stranger, nor a guest, but life the sure provisions of my God attend me all my days. Oh, may your house be my abode, and all my work be praised. There would I find a settled rest, while others go and come. No more stranger, nor a guest, but like a child at home. Like a child at home, yes, Lord, just like a child at home. You told us, become like little children if you want to enter into the kingdom of heaven. We need to do that, Lord, but we need one thing more. We need your help to do that for us. So help us, Lord. Help us to become as little children. Stay with us always. Be with us always, as you have promised, and we know that you are. We have that faith. Praise God. Thank you, Jesus. Like a child at home, like a child